Turn on your faucet right now. What comes out of it just traveled hundreds of miles, passed through mountains of filters, laboratories, and dozens of pumping stations, all for one single second when you just wash your hands. Every day, millions of people in cities turn on their taps without a second thought about what's behind that simple gesture. One of the most complex engineering systems humanity has ever built. Take it away for a week, and the city you live in collapses faster than it would without electricity. It all starts nowhere near the pipes under your house. It starts tens, sometimes hundreds of miles from the city. A river, a reservoir, an underground aquifer, that's the real source. But that water isn't drinkable straight from the source. It's dirty, loaded with bacteria, sediment, sometimes chemical runoff. Before it ever reaches your city, that water has to survive a journey almost nobody thinks about. The first stop is the intake. Massive pumps literally suck in thousands of tons of water per hour through screens that block out fish, branches, and debris. From there, the water heads to a treatment plant, and this is where the real engineering magic kicks in. Huge tanks add coagulants, chemicals that force tiny dirt particles to clump together into flakes. Those flakes slowly sink to the bottom, dragging all the murk down with them. But settled sludge is only half the job. Next, the water gets pushed through layers of sand and carbon several feet thick, filtration that catches whatever the coagulants missed. And only after that comes the final, critical step: disinfection. The water gets hit with chlorine or UV light, killing off any bacteria and viruses that survived the whole trip. That single step once saved humanity from cholera outbreaks that used to wipe out entire cities. Now we've got clean water, but how do you get it up to an apartment on the 15th floor without a single pump inside that apartment? The answer is pressure and elevation. Cities build water towers and reservoirs on high ground, so gravity does the pushing through the pipes. It's a brilliantly simple trick. Water gets lifted once by pumps, then flows downhill under its own weight the rest of the way, saving a staggering amount of energy. But hidden under the city is another problem almost nobody thinks about. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles of pipes buried under the asphalt. Picture a circulatory system that has to run flawlessly 24 hours a day, handling pressure, temperature swings, and corrosion for decades straight. One unnoticed crack, and a city can lose millions of gallons of water leaking silently into the ground, invisible from the surface. That's exactly why modern cities are increasingly rolling out smart monitoring systems, pressure and flow sensors that calculate in real time exactly where a pipe has started leaking before a puddle ever shows up on the street. It works a lot like a doctor spotting internal bleeding from the faintest change in a patient's pulse. But the system isn't perfect. In cities across America, many pipes were laid 50, even 100 years ago, and replacing them entirely would mean tearing up half the city and spending budgets comparable to building a new subway line. So in reality, engineers patch, reinforce, and modernize the system piece by piece over decades, essentially on the fly, without ever shutting off the water for a single day. Meanwhile, the water you've already used doesn't just disappear. From your sinks and toilets, it flows into the sewer system and reaches a treatment plant, where it goes through the process in reverse: filtration, biological treatment by bacteria that literally eat organic waste, and disinfection. After that, the water gets released back into the river cleaner than it was before humans ever touched it, closing a loop that the city repeats every single day. And that's the real miracle of modern civilization. Millions of people trust their lives every day to a system they never actually see. No ancient empire on Earth could deliver clean water to every single resident living 15 floors up at any hour of the day without a second thought. We've gotten so used to this miracle that we've stopped noticing it, and that's a shame. Because behind one turn of the faucet stands one of engineering's greatest victories over nature.